Thank you so much for joining us. Time for business now, and the government has sounded a warning to bank managers and directors of holding them to account in the event a bank is found to be practicing unsound business practices. While addressing bank CEOs drawn from the over 42 licensed entities, Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich warned banks of dire consequences if found culpable in the mismanagement of any financial institution. His remarks come a day after mid-tier lender Chase Bank was placed in receivership for failing to comply with CBK prudential guidelines. Rotich was quick to state Chase Bank's case was isolated and it should not send panic among customers.
I want to say that we will continue to monitor these cases very closely and take necessary actions to ensure an orderly resolution of the three banks. I want again to state that this situation of the banks are unique and not affecting the rest of the banks, and I think that is very important to note. The central bank has looked at all the banks in the system, and isolated banks that have faced challenges and addressed them. And I want to assure you that the rest of the bank.
At least 7,000 kilometers of power transmission lines are set to be put up in the next 5 years by the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company, even as Kenya readies itself to boost generation to 5,000 megawatts by 2017. The transmission lines, which are used to evacuate high voltage power, are critical enablers in the quest to connect millions of households to the national grid. On this week's Transformers, KTN's Abby again assesses the viability of this project, and will it have impact in as far as the cost of electricity is concerned.
With an ambitious target to generate 5,000 megawatts of power by 2017, the government appears overly ambitious in tackling Kenya's fast-growing energy needs. Driving this ambitious plan is no mean feat, as it requires deep pockets to finance the capital-intensive projects that gobble up billions of dollars.
We are prepared to take off.
With the projected demand of 7,000 megawatts by 2020, the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company, KETRACO, says it is on course in developing requisite power infrastructure ahead of additional power into the national grid.
At the moment, we are talking about almost 52% connections. The Jubilee government is looking at having 70% connections by June 2017.
So far, KETRACO has been working on building substations to be used for power transmission to various regions, with the latest to be commissioned being the Homa Bay line.
Now, this is one of the substations which is meant to evacuate power in that region.
It is estimated that power costs will fall significantly once reliance on diesel-powered generators is disposed with.
One of the direct effects on the tariff, we expect the tariffs to go down. So basically what we are doing in the next 5 years, which is as per our strategic plan, we are looking at putting up over 7,000 kilometers of transmission lines. And this will ultimately have a direct impact on reducing the cost of doing business in the country.
Electricity costs have been a major restraint in attracting investors. Manufacturers have had to contend with high production costs, which are then passed on to consumers.
We are going to eliminate diesel generators, and the fuel component in the tariff will definitely be eliminated when we have the lines which we are talking about coming on board.
Evacuation lines are critical, as they will determine whether or not the Kenya Electricity Generating Company, KENGEN, will successfully be able to discharge power to the national grid.
We have other lines we are putting up across the country, which at the moment we have never had the national grid going to those regions. A very good example is Kindaruma Mwingi Garissa.
Excess power generation has also been deemed costly, as questions around absorption into the national economy continue to be raised.
Where we have excess supply, as I said, we have the regional interconnectors. This will facilitate regional power trade.
Kenya has a current installed capacity of 2,300 megawatts, which is yet to fully cater for the pent-up demand. With more and more pressure on the existing transmission lines being felt, the need to fast-track development of the lines remains core to Kenya's quest to tackle the high electricity costs, as well as the low numbers of connections, which stand at about 3 million against a household base of about 20 million plus. Abiagina, a KTN Business for Transformers.
And finally, in business news tonight, let's have a look at our financial market review.
The financial report, in association with Standard Chartered Mortgage, the mortgage that gives you more than just your dream.